In the crazy high-stakes race to build the most powerful AI, a company called Anthropic just made a really, really weird move. They dropped their new model, Claude Opus 4.7, and yeah, it's a huge improvement, but the timing and just the nature of the release has created this fascinating puzzle for the whole industry. So today, let's put on our detective hats and see if we can solve it. Okay, so this is the heart of the mystery, right? Just last week, Anthropic was teasing this other model called Mythos, and they basically said it was too powerful, too dangerous for a public release. Then boom, just days later, they give us Opus 4.7, which is a massive leap forward on its own. It really makes you scratch your head and wonder, if Mythos is that dangerous frontier, how close to the line are we getting with this new model? And why release it right now? So let's lay out the facts of the case. On one side, you have Mythos. This is the big one, the one they're keeping under lock and key. It's rumored to have 10 trillion parameters. And you can just think of parameters as the tiny little building blocks of knowledge in an AI's brain. Then on the other side, we have Opus 4.7, this surprise update that is closing that capability gap at an absolutely incredible speed. This right here, this is the puzzle we need to solve. All right, so to figure this out, we've got to follow the evidence. And in the world of AI, that evidence trail is paved with something called benchmark scores. These are our clues. Let's see what story they tell us. Our first major clue is this number, plus 10.9. Now, that represents a massive, massive jump in the model's coding ability. This was measured on a test called SWE-Bench Pro, which is basically a brutal exam for AIs where they have to solve real-world software engineering problems. And let me tell you, for a single update, a jump of almost 11 points is a gigantic leap forward. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how this jump positions Opus 4.7. It's not just a little step up. It lands almost perfectly halfway between the old model and the supposedly too powerful Mythos. This tells us they have a laser focus on making this thing an incredible software engineer. And the evidence just keeps piling up. It's not just in coding. On a test called GDP-Val, which throws a whole bunch of diverse real-world tasks at it, it just dominated, getting a massive ELO score. That's a rating system they borrowed from the chess world to rank competitors. Its vision got way sharper. Its ability to understand complex documents jumped by over 20%. I mean, all signs are pointing to this thing being an absolute powerhouse. But just when the case seems open and shut, we find an anomaly. A single, crucial piece of data that just doesn't fit the pattern of overwhelming improvement. And it's in a very, very sensitive area. And this right here, this is the turning point in our whole investigation. While the super powerful Mythos model is a full 10 points better at cybersecurity tasks, look at Opus 4.7. It actually got slightly worse. This isn't a failure to improve, it's a step backward. Why on earth would Anthropic deliberately make their model worse at something so important? This anomaly, this deliberate step back, well, it leads us directly to the motive. And what's amazing is Anthropic isn't even trying to hide it. They basically confess in their own release notes. And here it is, our smoking gun, right from their own blog post. They say they experimented with efforts to differentially reduce these capabilities. In plain English, that means they intentionally turned the dial down on the model's abilities in this one specific area. This wasn't a bug. It was a feature. So this brings us to the key insight, the real aha moment. Opus 4.7 is a public safety testbed. That's what it is. Anthropic is using this very powerful, but not quite top-of-the-line model to test out new safeguards in the real world. They're figuring out how to build guardrails for sports car before they try to put those same guardrails on a rocket ship like Mythos. This safety-first strategy also happens to be a brilliant business move. It creates this perfect loop. By releasing the most powerful coding model they can safely manage, they can attract big money enterprise customers without taking on a ton of risk. That money then buys more GPUs, those super powerful chips you need for AI training, which helps them build the next generation of models. It's a fantastic, self-reinforcing cycle of innovation and safety. So, after looking at all the evidence, after following the clues, what's the verdict? And what does this whole case tell us about the future of how AI is going to be built and released? So our investigation really reveals a whole new strategy taking shape in the AI world. First, intentional nerfing is officially a thing. Companies are now deliberately weakening specific AI abilities for safety. Second, this turns public models into test beds for safety features. And third, this whole thing highlights the GPU crunch.
It's a smart, practical move when the chips needed for the biggest models are super scarce. And finally, for the user, it means we're now dealing with AIs that follow instructions with this unnerving precision, making the art of literal prompting more important than ever.
And all of this leaves us with one final and honestly kind of critical question. Anthropic was pretty open about this particular limitation, but as intentional nerfing becomes the new normal, how will we, the users, ever know what other capabilities are being held back from us? And who gets to decide what's too powerful for the rest of us to use?